Hi everyone, welcome to part 2 of this epic makeover of 15 squishies. Let's jump into the first set, which is the 2 large panda buns. Of course, first to remove the plastic hooks, because they are going to be turned into a Christmas pudding and a profiterole. Now, I have torn the squishies a bit here, but not to worry because I have a plan. If you remember this strawberry from part 1, I am using bits of the strawberry to fill in the gaps. Now the white one I'm leaving as it is because it's not too bad, but the yellow one is worse. The rip is quite large, so I'm just gluing it together with fabric glue just to make it a bit more secure and putting the elastic band on just while it dries. Now for the next step, adding a white base coat to the panda buns. I will do the yellow one once it's dry. And once that's all done and dry, it's time to start the painting. I'm starting with this pale beige colour for the profiterole, although I do know real profiteroles are a lot darker, but I wanted to have a contrast with the very dark Christmas pudding. That's gone on really nicely. Now to start with the darker brown for the pudding. I used 3 layers of fabric paint on each of these. Let's see how they look. They are looking pretty good. Now to start with the decorations. If you recall from part 1, this was the topping of the ice cream cone. Why it's this horrible shade of green, no one will ever know. I am using this to cut out my cherries for the top of the pudding. Really speed it up here because it takes absolutely ages to get that perfect circle. So I've done 3 of those and there's the remains of the squishy, so it's all been used. The cherries are going to be added onto the top of the squishy in this rough patch so it all gets hidden, and just using some super glue to attach them. Just very lightly, and then I'm going to go over it with fabric paint to seal it all in. It's sealing in the exposed foam and also attaching it really strongly to the main squishy. So just trying to make it as smooth as I can, and then I will start adding the red cherries. This one's straight from the bottle, a really nice bright red colour, so there's no need to mix up my own because it's just perfect. And the initial yellow layer of paint has made the cherries now quite smooth, so it looks really nice when it dries. Cartoon Christmas puddings do tend to look like this, so that's why I'm doing it this way. And now on to the final touches, the icing. First of all, doing the outline of where I want it to go, and then starting to fill it in. Straight from the bottle, so it's just a really nice thick layer of icing. While that's drying, I'll just move on to the profiterole. Not icing this time, but cream. So I'm just filling in the profiterole because it's been cut in half. And we can see the cream filling in the middle. It looks absolutely delicious. And you can see it's got quite a bumpy texture because that's how real cream would be. Once that's dry, moving on to the chocolate topping, again covering up the rough patches on the squishy. Similar to the Christmas pudding, I'm just going straight in with the tube and filling in the outline of where I want the chocolate topping to be. Of course, the white paint is already completely dry, so there's no smudging between the brown and the white paint. And then it's just a matter of filling it all in with a nice thick layer. Now that's dry, it's still looking very plain, so I decided to add some gold flecks to it. Sometimes when you buy those posh profiteroles, they do have gold flecks on it. So I'm going in just randomly, adding gold, a bit more on the top because that's where, when it's sprinkled, most of the gold would end up. And not forgetting, of course, the profiterole has been cut in half, so some of the flecks would actually fall down into the cream. It's turning out so well, I absolutely love it. And the Christmas pudding as well. So moving on to the final 5 squishies I have left out of the original 15. I suppose it's 4.5 really. I'm just going to continue with the dessert theme. I'm going to start with the macaron, and I'm going to add the top of this ice cream to it. There's going to be a cherry on top, which I'm going to make from this paw print squishy. Again, similar to the cherries from the Christmas pudding, just a bit smaller. Just super gluing the cream on top. And again, I'm doing the same thing with the cherry, which really nicely fills the gap where the plastic hook was pulled out of the top of the ice cream. Just trying to fit it in. It's looking pretty good. It still needs something extra. So what I'm doing is cutting a slice off the bottom of the strawberry, cutting that in half and half again, because the squishy itself is absolutely tiny. Now I just have to decide where to position it on the squishy. Again, super glued it on. I need to decide, do I want it to be a lemon slice, an orange slice, a lime slice? I decided on lime. Obviously you can see there the squishy has had a white base coat. Starting with the lime, and then the macaron itself, which is going to be this pink colour, which you may remember from part 1 was our pink ice cream cat. It's just such a gorgeous shade of pink, I had to use it again. Struggling a bit there to keep hold of the squishy because it's so small. But I'm just painting the top half, let that dry, and then turning it upside down and the bottom half, which leaves us with this. Now I did consider painting the cream white, but I've done that so many times and it's just a bit boring. I wanted it to be a bit different. So I found this gorgeous peach fabric paint, and I just think all these colours are going to look so good together. I'm really pleased with it. I started doing a drip there and then decided no drips. So again, just covering it all up with a nice thick layer of the peach paint, being careful not to cover up the lime. As it's drying, it will sink down slightly into the shape of the ice cream and it will end up looking really good. Just finishing up the very last bit. Now I did consider doing the filling of the macaron also in peach, but I decided that would be a bit too much peach. So I went for the light green that I used on the lime, and I think it's just going to look really good. So this was a colour I mixed up myself, so I've just had to go in with the dotting tool, gradually adding it all the way around the squishy. And once that's all done, I can add the final touch, which is the cherry on top. Again, same as the cherries on the Christmas pudding, just going straight in with the red fabric paint, straight from the tube. And just carefully adding it on to the cherry. I actually added a little bit extra on the top just to make it look like a really luscious cherry. We'll see this and all the other finished squishies at the end of the video. Now moving on to the final squishy. I had no ideas whatsoever for this squishy, so stupidly I gave it a white base coat and then decided to paint it black, so I really didn't need the white base coat. But anyway, I'm going in. It's going to be a cookies and cream flavour. But for the topping, I'm going to give it a try with fluorescent stripes. Now here, they don't look too bad. They look okay. But look what happened here. Absolutely horrible. Dry really dark, muddy. I put some lines in it to try and give it some life. That made it look even worse. It won't peel off because it's just completely solid. So I'm going to try and save it with this purple. I'm just going to go in and cover it up with big blobs of purple to make it look like a nice blackcurrant topping. But I thought that would be a bit boring on its own, so I decided to go in with this silver and this gold. Well, I thought it was gold. You'll find out in a minute. And I'm just randomly adding that in. I have no idea what flavour this is now. It looks more like a bunch of weird flowers, actually. And I know as I'm doing this that it's going to be my least favourite of the squishies. But, you know, you've got to carry on and finish what you've started. I still need to put the cream filling in. But in the meantime, here was what we started with. 15 mini squishies. That came as one set. So let's go ahead and see the final results. We have our egg on toast, nice and simple, nice and squishy. Just so you know, we had a family situation and I've lost the use of my kitchen table with the red tablecloth temporarily. So I've just had to make do. Next up, our strawberry ice cream cat. Gorgeous, I love him. He's also got some eye shine in the eyes that I added afterwards. Next up from part 1, it's the turtle. Love the orange and the green, and the flower in the hat really does make it. Of course, he needs all his accessories. So he's got his 2 rocks, one with the water and the moss, still squishy, and one plain rock, and his lily pad. So he's just going to bask in the sun and sit on his rocks and nibble on his lily pad. Next up, we have the Christmas pudding. Absolutely love it. You can see I've added the stalks on top of the cherries. Still squishable. Such an improvement from the plain panda bun that it started as. And of course, not forgetting the profiterole because they come as a set. Really love this. Plenty of chocolates, plenty of cream. You've got your gold flecks on top. Really squishable. So I guess it's really a giant profiterole and a very small Christmas pudding put together make one delicious dessert. I think these are my favourites so far of the set. And next up we have the macaron. I think this is also my favourite because it just turned out so well. The colours go so well together. If this was in a bakery window, I would want to try it, 100%. Really nice and squishable. Absolutely love it. So going from the best of the bunch to the absolute worst, we have this cookies and cream bun. Actually, the cookies and cream part is actually good. It's just the topping which does not look nice, doesn't look edible. Let's face it, it just didn't turn out very good. But they are all staying together as one group. I am glad I managed to do the biggest squishy makeover I've ever done of 15 squishies and created all these unique squishies. Thanks for watching, everyone. More squishy makeovers on the way. It's bye from me, Squishy Exclusive. Bye!